The Democrats have defined themselves in contrast to the Republican Party by attempting to embrace what they call liberal representation politics. A um, feminist columnist Jessica Valenti points out that misogyny is openly baked into Republican politics, leaving space for Democrats to swoop in and claim the feminist mantle, in large part by focusing on electing first. The 2018 election of Kirsten Sinema in Arizona, the first um, outed bisexual woman in Congress, is one example of this. However, Sinema caught national attention Friday of last week during the COVID-19 relief bill when she thumbed down a provision for an incremental raise towards a $15 an hour minimum wage, which was filmed live on C-SPAN in a vivid performance of coy white womanhood. While the Biden team during its campaign season claimed that raising the minimum wage would be a top priority, the Democratic politics, as usual, meant that they quickly backed down on this commitment in the COVID relief bill. And following backlash to the scene, Sinema's press secretary claimed it was sexist to comment on a woman's lawmaker's body language. Um, this scenario feels grossly representative of what stands for gender politics in the Democratic Party. But what is considered sexist is the suggestion that women, especially women with significant positional power, whether it be whiteness, cisness, or being a literal elected official, is ineligible for critique. But furthermore, what about the sexism of choosing to abandon American women? Cinema's Cinema's choice to reject the minimum wage hike is one that wouldn't even meet the living wage in American cities. But it would push us um, in the right direction with direct what they call, and it would directly impact millions of women that are working minimum wage jobs. Um, as the Teen Vogue ESP fellow Jackie German or Jaquay German reports, the fight for 15 and safer workplaces for women are directly linked, but jobs where employees are paid poverty wages are harder to leave. According to the Economic Policy Institute, many of the workers who would benefit from raising the minimum wage are the college-educated women with children and workers of color, helping to eliminate the racial pay gap. Meanwhile, Governor Andrew Cuomo of New York is rejecting calls to step down from office following at least 4 public accusations of workplace harassment and other inappropriate behavior from former women staffers, but not to mention his office's mishandling of the elder care home deaths that came throughout the pandemic. And Cuomo is also facing accusations of bullying the state assemblyman Ron Kim, who pushed him for accountability over the nursing home scandal. And joining a growing narrative of bullying and mistreatment under the Cuomo administration, Cuomo has apologized for any pain he caused his accusers, but he requested that the public reserve judgment until the state attorney general Letitia James's investigation is complete. He says, "I am compelled to tell my story because no woman should feel forced to hide their experience of workplace intimidation, harassment, and humiliation, and not by the governor or anyone else." Lindsay Boylan, who's a former aide for the Cuomo administration, wrote in her essay describing her experiences. Following what is This follows what is becoming a trend amongst Democratic leaders. Electing women is supposed to be the real achievement for feminism. However, the women whose humanity the Democratic establishment seems to most care about preserving are privileged white women, which hardly differentiates them from the legislators across the aisle. The party claims to champion the Me Too movement, but we've seen multiple examples of women being sidelined or criticized after raising complaints of mistreatment by powerful lawmakers. And it's not just the Cuomo administration, it's all over Democratic politics. Aaron Coleman, who's a 20-year-old Kansas State representative, has openly admitted to abusive behavior, including what they refer to as revenge porn, bullying, and physical abuse. During his 2020 campaign, he refused to drop out of the race, but he eventually would later win. And of course, when accusations arose against President Joe Biden during the 2020 race, Democratic officials from Kirsten Gillibrand to Stacey Abrams closed ranks around Biden, diminishing the significance of the accusations. Gillibrand Gillibrand may have learned it wasn't worth it to call out white male Democrats over the harassment allegations after she led the charge in 2017 for former Senator Al Franken's resignation, a choice that many Democrats are still smarting over. What some Democrats seem to be missing, as New Republic writer Melissa Gira Grant points out, is that just as much as the workplace harassment is a woman's issue, it's also a labor issue, and these dynamics are at play in the various accusations against Cuomo. Look to the elder care home scandal for proof. Women of color disproportionately staff care homes, as well as other care fields made dangerous by the coronavirus pandemic, and the majority of these residing in these homes are women. This is in sharp contrast to the labor awakening that many have had due to the coronavirus pandemic, which has pushed American women to the breaking point, with women of color particularly impacted by COVID-19. It induced unemployment as the unemployment rate for which women dropped in January of 2021. Who do the Democrats think they're representing? In a 2020 report from Pew Research Center, more than half of the women and three-fourths of Democrats surveyed said that the feminist movement had not gone far enough, with more than 80% pointing to sexual harassment as a roadblock to gender parity in the workforce. At least there are some people taking this issue seriously. A group of 6 socialist New York state legislators are calling for Cuomo to be impeached, which, if successful, would be the only second impeachment in state history. It seems we can't expect the same level of commitment to women, workers, and people of color from the Democrats. A party that claims progressive feminist politics must actually practice that, and the Democratic Party as it stands is only looking to prop it up of claiming to be a feminist party, or helping for that.